Guys, welcome to the Limitless Ones podcast. I'm very excited about today's episode as this is my dear friend that I met a long time ago in Maui, who's not any longer in Maui, which we're going to talk about, Savannah Rahman. Did I pronounce your last name correct, or is it Rahman?
I pronounce it Rahman. I think you're
Rahman.
supposed to say Rahman, but I don't say it
Okay.
like
Okay.
that.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm excited to have you on here. So you've moved to Washington now, correct? From Hawaii.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. How is the change? Because you seem like you guys are enjoying it.
We enjoy it. It's completely different. We only spent a short time on Maui. We're both originally from California.
Yeah.
So I was on Maui for about 3.5 years. And then we moved to Washington after we visited a little over a year ago. And we just really loved it here.
Yeah.
So we just up and left again, just sold all of our stuff, came over with a couple suitcases.
Yeah, well, I would assume what's the best part of it? Because I mean, the landscape's beautiful. Jake loves to go, cliff jumping. You got the mountains there. You got all the different types of weather too, like the seasons. I would assume you guys are probably loving that, right?
Yeah, we did start to miss the seasons living on Maui because it's beautiful there all the time. And
Yeah,
it's funny how that can get old.
yeah, yeah,
We really miss the snow. So, yeah, coming here, we enjoy having seasons.
of
And it's
course.
also more accessible for us to do road trips and go see family and really just see more of the US. We haven't seen a lot of the US. We do a lot of, you know, um, out of the country traveling.
Yeah,
So that was the goal for moving here was to just see
yeah.
more and be closer to family.
Well, when you guys kind of first announced it, because you know how I adore Maui so much, but it's always different as a visitor, right, than someone that's living there, right? So you have a different perspective. And
Right.
when you guys were kind of announced that you're moving, I didn't know how to feel about it at first. Like I was like, oh, because like you guys were the friends we had there, and it was kind of exciting knowing when we went there, I was going to get to see Jake or come visit you. And then when you guys are gone, and Jake said, hey, we'll vacation together. Next time you go, we'll vacation together, kind of thing, right? So, but I understand that when
Yeah.
you live somewhere, it's a completely different perspective living locally than it is being a vacation or living there, right?
And that's something that we learned too is that when you live in a vacation destination, it doesn't
Yeah,
ever feel like vacation for you.
yeah,
And for me, it kind of ruined our vacations because
of
every
course.
time we went on vacation, we would always compare it to the most beautiful place on earth.
Yeah,
In our
yeah, yeah.
opinion, we would go to Costa Rica or go to Australia and just compare it to Maui.
Yeah, 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 I get it. And it is one of the most beautiful places on earth. So I'm excited to buying a house there someday as a destination. So maybe you guys can come hang
Yeah,
out with us. So
us
for people
too.
that don't
That's the
know,
goal.
yeah, that'll be the goal. For people that don't know, Savannah is a health and fitness coach and a very successful one. And I've been lucky enough to see you kind of take off since I met you 5 years ago. And now you are the owner of Pure Body Nutritionals as well. So tell a little bit about what it is that you do and a little bit about your nutritional company as well.
So my coaching business is solely one-on-one based, and I work with females only. I've worked with the occasional male client, and I enjoy it. But honestly, I'm a woman, so I know the female body best,
Yeah.
and I truly believe in sticking to what you know. So yeah, I have a lot of really amazing clients from all over the country, and
Yeah.
then using the the savings account that I kind of built from my coaching business, I started PBN Subs. And this really came to me because I was really just tired of being an ambassador for companies that either I didn't fully believe in or I didn't fully love the supplements. It's really hard to sell something that you're not in love with. And so the last supplement company that I was an ambassador for, I noticed that a lot of my clients were buying a lot of the supplements. So I kind of approached them with this pitch. Can we work out a deal where I buy supplements wholesale and then resell it to my clients? Because obviously I'm not just an ambassador putting out my code and getting a couple
Yeah.
sales. I was getting very regular sales.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it started with me being a little bit more involved. And after that, it got into this position where it was like pulling teeth getting my commission checks, you know.
Yeah.
Even though
Yeah.
I was buying wholesale and redistributing, I still was supposed to get commission checks because I was posting my code online.
Yeah.
So I just told Jake, I said, I think I'm going to start my own supplement company. And he goes, okay. And he's very supportive, but he was also very skeptical. He goes, do you know everything that goes into that? It's going to cost so much money. And I said, I'm going to fucking figure it out.
I love
So
it.
I went online and I figured it out. And
Yeah.
it's fully funded by my savings account, and
Beautiful.
I I have a distribution center in Georgia and they're really amazing. They get things out immediately. So we have like a 3-day turnaround. And every time we sell out of a supplement, I figure out what we can do to further improve the product.
Yeah.
So each time we've sold out, we've launched a new and improved formula, which is very exciting too, because that is the main goal, was to be a part of something that I have control over. So that way the consumer kind of has a voice. I
Yeah.
get a lot of feedback from my clients and my customers. The main feedback that I get is that they love it, which is great. But I also encourage otherwise, and those are the things that I change. So it's
I
nice to be
love
able
it.
to have a hand in that.
The my most favorite part of everything you just said is I was tired of being part of something I didn't believe in. And it's very hard to sell something that you don't love. And I get a lot of young people and older people that struggle to sell a product or struggle to sell real estate or struggle to sell their personal training service. And I always tell them it's because you don't love what you're selling or you don't believe in what you're selling. And I always give the example that if I had a pill that could make you financially successful, healthy, and find you love, but I had to charge you $20,000 for it, how excited would you be to sell that pill to somebody knowing that it's going to change their whole life? So with you,
Yeah.
with your coaching service, if you get somebody and they just commit to you and they listen, that you're going to teach them a sustainable, way of eating and get their hormones balanced and start to love themselves and start to consistently knock the weight off. And same with the supplements as well. And you can sell anything when you love it. And because you're not really selling, you're saying, I have
Yeah.
something that will help you change your life. And I just want you to come along with the ride for me because I'm going to help you. Right. You're not really
Yeah.
selling. You're just saying, come with me and I'll show you kind of thing. Right. And it's a whole different, it's
Yeah.
not even selling.
Yeah. And a while back, when I was right on the verge of scaling my coaching business, I signed up for a business coaching course that was intended to help you scale further, right? And
Yeah.
they had all of these sales scripts as to how you're supposed to talk to your clients on the initial phone call, and it just felt really sleazy.
Yeah.
I didn't like it at all. I ended up getting a full refund. I didn't even continue with the course because also they have scaled this coaching business, right? So
Yeah.
they've scaled their business and they're trying to teach others how to scale theirs. But the Zoom calls that we had, for example, I was kind of leading the call. I was teaching the person who was supposed to be running the call what they should be doing.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And it gets to the point where you can only scale so far, especially with a personalized one-on-one based business,
Yeah.
and if you
Yeah.
try to go further than that, the business will suffer. Your clients aren't getting 100% of you, and it's not fair, and then it turns into something more for money as opposed to changing people's lives.
Exactly. Yeah. And then that just becomes toxic and you're not happy with it and you don't have time to yourself and you start having to implement things. And I kind of want to jump more into that, but I would assume anybody who's listening right now is a little bit excited to say, how did you get to where you're at? So can you give us, I never like to jump too much into people's past, but I like to just hear the quick story of how, because when I met you, you were at Powerhouse and then we're just starting to transition. And I watched your following and your brand and your financial and just you as a person, like your trajectory's been literally like this since I met you,
Yeah,
which congratulations. I'm excited for
thank
you.
you.
But give us the quick backstory. I know you come up in California and come into Maui, but a little bit to how you got, because I believe you were in construction or engineering or something like that,
Yeah,
right? I remember you
yeah.
telling me that. So give us a quick backstory how to where you're at now.
I have a pretty diverse background. So I went into the Army Reserves straight out of high school. And
Okay.
when I came back, I went to college. I went to college for business and finance. I ended up getting an engineering job as a financial engineer for a construction company. And I had been in construction finance for, I think, like 8 to 10 years or something like that. And then towards the end of my career, I realized that alcohol was a big kind of negative piece of my life. I was spending a lot of money on it. It was consuming my weekends. I wasn't able to get to that next level of fitness because of it. So I quit drinking. And for every day that I was sober, I put away a penny a day. So on day 17 that I was sober, I put away 17 cents. And during that first year that I had been sober, I started competing in bodybuilding competitions in the bikini division.
Yeah.
And it really helped me put my focus elsewhere towards something constructive. And at the end of that year, I had saved so much money from that penny a day that I took myself to Maui on vacation for my birthday. And that's where I met up with Jake. We had always known each other, and he was already living there. And then 3 months later, I dropped everything and I moved there. And I quit my
Wow.
job. I cashed out my 401k. I moved to Maui and became a personal trainer. And that's when I was working at Powerhouse. And man, it was really, really tough in the beginning. You know,
Yeah.
it, I
Yeah.
got, I shipped my BMW over there. It got repossessed because living on Maui is very expensive, you know,
Yeah.
and I had to borrow $3,000 from Jake to buy a car that it didn't have air conditioning. It was literally falling apart. The interior was melting off. It
Oh
was
my God.
crazy. And that's when I started to transition more and more towards kind of an elite level of personal training. So I moved from
Yeah.
Powerhouse over to a private personal training studio. And that's when my rate got up over $100 an hour. And I was really focused on elite level training where you place the towel for the client, you know, load and deload the weights. And this clientele that I had because of this was elder. You know, they were like 45 years and up because that's who can afford over $100 an hour for personal training, right?
Yeah.
And this led me to be quite uninspired because a lot of people in that age range don't care about transforming. They can afford it and they know that they'll get to the gym 5 days a week if they're paying someone to, you know?
Yeah.
So that kind of made me fall out of love with personal training. So that's when I started thinking about online. And it was kind of an interesting scenario because I was planning to transition to online. But then something happened with the training studio that I was training at where it pushed me out the door much quicker. And it was kind of an abrupt, you know, ending of that relationship. And I had like $2,000 in the bank. I didn't really have a savings account. And on Maui, that's like nothing. That'll pay for a month's rent and food for the month.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I had, I think, two clients who I had trained in person that they easily transferred over to online. The first month of my online coaching, I made $300. The next month, I made 1,300, and it continued to double and double. And every single month, I was doubling my income until I hit my goal of the first year of reaching six figures. And
Yeah.
then my
Good for
second
you.
year, I more than doubled. And you're right, my trajectory has been up. And even through COVID, it's been really a blessing. I thought I was going to lose my business when COVID started, but
Yeah.
instead it actually helped multiply because you don't realize how little you know about working out until your gym is taken away, until the boot camp classes are taken away, until you're
Yeah.
forced to literally fill luggage with books, and that is your weight. And I trained
Yeah.
like that for a while on Maui. I had a broomstick and I had luggage filled with books, and that was a barbell. You know, you
Yeah.
get
I
creative
seen
when
the
you have
videos.
to. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 So there's a couple things in there that I really want to break down, which is about identifying your ideal customer to create excitement for you, but also just to create a niche for yourself. But before I jump into that, it sounds like Maui kind of changed your life. And I just want to tell you my story, how it changed me as well. And that's why I'm always grateful for it. And it may just been the right time in my life, but I was obviously a competitive bodybuilder that had a bunch of injuries, was starting to have some health problems, was obviously, we've talked about this on your podcast, about experimenting with steroids and not experimenting, full blown into it, trying to become a pro bodybuilder. And it was becoming very unhealthy. And I was kind of stuck between what I wanted to do with my future and leave that behind. And I was actually on the beach in Maui when I decided to leave behind, and I stopped competing that day in Maui and decided to start trying to approach a healthier lifestyle and go after my goals and dreams. So a whole new life started for me in Maui. And I don't know if it was just the timing for you, but there's something special about the Hawaiian island to me. It's an energy. It's the mountains, it's the volcanoes, it's the ocean, and it's a sense of strength. And there's a very strong spirit on that island. And I don't know if when you live there you feel it that way, or if I was
Yeah.
just in the point in my life where I was ready to accept something like that from the universe. But did you feel that when you were there, like a transformation for you, like of like strength
Yeah.
and direction? Because it sounds like the universe was saying, fuck you, we're kicking you out of the studio because there's something better for you and we
Right.
know it. And you're not doing it fast enough. So I'm going to kick you in the ass and this is the direction you're going to go. And then you got
Yeah.
your answer, right?
And that's kind of how my entire life was on Maui, is anytime
Yeah.
something would happen that I thought was like, oh my God, this is devastating. My car got repossessed,
Yeah. Yeah.
something else would happen in place of that. And it shows you that as long as you kind of keep a positive mindset, I guess, things will happen for you.
Yeah.
And I wish I knew the Hawaiian phrase for this, but basically there's a saying on Maui where if the island wants you, it will tell you. And if it doesn't, it'll kick you out. A lot of people move there just like I did, and they don't make it 6 months, you
Yeah.
know? But if you're
Yeah.
supposed to be there, then everything will happen for you and everything will fall into place.
Beautiful.
Like when I first moved there, my goal was to become a personal trainer, but it's not that easy. I didn't know
No.
anybody. So I
Yeah.
went out and looked for bartending jobs, and I thought I was going to get one like that because last time I was a bartender, I got the first one I applied for. It
Yeah.
wasn't like that. I was looking for a job for months and nobody would hire me. Even as like a bar back, they wouldn't hire me, because those are
Wow.
coveted positions because you're making a lot
Yeah.
of money because it's tourist based.
Of course.
So I was just like, what am I going to do? And then I went and applied at the front desk for Powerhouse. I started out as a front desk person.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm going to be at this front desk. I'm going to get in people's faces every day and tell them I'm a certified personal trainer. You hustle.
Of
Um,
course.
but I think you have to have that hustle in you, you
You
know.
have to. Yeah. Yeah.
But it is a very inspiring and powerful island energetically. But I
Yeah.
also think that you need to be open to receiving that, like you said, you
You
know.
have to be ready for it. Yeah.
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 And anybody that's born in not in any of the islands, they always talk about, like, I'm a huge follower of Laird Hamilton, who's a big wave surfer. And he talks about like just the culture there is like, until you live there, you don't understand it. Like they're rugged, they're strong, the Mana spirit is strong. And there's just, it's a whole different world there. And we would go vacation and we're just like, oh, like it's fun, it's sunny, it's beaches. But when you live there, I think it's a different experience, right?
Yeah. Well,
All in
and a
all.
big thing for me living on Maui is that even when things got really challenging, like I said, I didn't have any money. I mean, one month I had like $900 and our rent was 1,000.
Yeah.
So even when things got really bad, you look at what's around you and you realize it can't even get that bad. I would
No.
do this
Yeah.
this exercise where, okay, things are bad, it's scary, I'm very anxious right now, so I would think worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, we get kicked out of our house, we lose our cars, right? We have to live on the beach and we'll eat the avocados that are falling down from the tree. There's coconuts, there's mango, you go fishing, there's chickens everywhere. Worst case scenario, you're not going to fucking die.
Yeah.
So
Love it.
it really helps you relieve that anxiety.
Of
And
course.
also it
Yes.
shows you what's really important in life doesn't cost any money. Nobody cares what kind of car you drive on Maui. I drove my beater ass car that was falling apart and nobody gave a shit. If I was
Yeah.
driving my Range Rover out there, it probably would have been keyed by now or something. I don't know. They'd be like fucking
Yeah.
tourists.
Yeah. 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 Well, I
But
guess when you
yeah,
got that much beauty around you, how do you even compare anything? Like material things don't fuck it. You got this most beautiful ocean, you got the mountains, you've got all the wild fruit, and it's just the landscape is insane. So I never thought of that. Like material things probably have no merit there compared to just being a good person and, and the
yeah,
things that you do on the land, right? That's in it.
right.
Wow, I never really thought of that. And what a
Yeah,
beautiful outlook for you too, to have that experience, to think that, because we all struggle. Like I did that. I was a personal trainer coming up too. And the first couple of years is just like, well, I think 99% of personal trainers quit because they think I'm a trainer now. I got my logo and I'm
yeah,
certified. And where the fuck are the customers?
right,
And no one
right.
comes, right? Because there's like a process where you need to figure yourself out because people
Yeah,
are buying you. They don't care about your certificates. They really are buying you. And that's going to
yeah.
lead me into the next thing, which is choosing a niche in your ideal customer. You've done this perfectly. Like you can go to your page
Thank
and
you.
see exactly the type of nutrition, which is kind of a sustainable approach, learning to implement foods that you love, and that it's not just about a salad all the time. It's about, implementing foods and tracking your calories, getting to control your hormones and loving yourself and learning it's okay to make mistakes and getting back on the wagon. You can see it in your branding. And then you said you're working with women. I don't know if you pick an age group or if it's all women, but this is where most trainers struggle the most, is they jump in and they think they need to help everyone. And that does two things. Now you're not an expert in anything because you're trying to you can't help a postpartum mom and somebody that was in a car accident and then help a bodybuilder in Olympic. Like who is it that you're helping? And I think they get lost. They don't understand that if you have 10 people that are like super fans of you, you're going to be successful. You don't need to help hundreds of people. So let's talk about identifying your ideal customer, and also in that, how it makes you feel as a person because you're doing what you love. You're not helping somebody that you don't. So like give that advice to these young trainers coming up, because this is where they really struggle.
Well, I developed my ideal client. I actually wrote it all out, um, because it is important to narrow it down. When you work with everybody, like you said, you specialize in nothing, right?
Yeah.
And your clients don't benefit from that, and neither do you. You'll get burnt out really fast. You'll feel like this is a job, not a passion anymore, right?
Yeah.
So I determined that my ideal client is a lot like me. And I think that this goes for almost everybody. You know yourself better than anybody else. So
Yeah.
where I was when I started my fitness journey is, like I said, I was struggling with alcohol. I was a young professional woman who I have my shit together, even though I drank a lot on the weekends,
Yeah.
and I knew how to lose weight. I had transformed my body to some extent. I worked out regularly, but I was having trouble really getting to that next level. So I wrote all of this out. That's my ideal client, is basically me 5 to 6 years ago, you know? And that way, whenever I structure my posts, I'm actually talking to myself every single
Yeah.
time. I'm talking to myself, you know? And it makes it so you really know what you're talking about. Like you
Yeah.
said, you don't need to sell something that you truly believe in. And for me, that's why I share a lot of my life experiences. And I kind of try to tie it into a lesson at the end, because I know my life experiences better than anything else. So it's really easy to draw a storyline about that. And I've also learned a lesson from almost every life experience I've had. So you're not writing a sales pitch. You're not writing this, caption that is intended to market a certain product, or you're just talking about what happened to you yesterday, you know?
So good. Anybody that knows a personal trainer that's struggling, please clip these last 2 minutes and send it to them, because this is all you need to know to be successful. Everything you just said.
Yeah.
I don't think you need,
Do what you
obviously you
know.
need to know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
You just said it perfectly. You basically, your ideal customer is you're writing a story to yourself, answering questions that you didn't have the answer to 5 years ago or 6 years ago. There's so much power in that, and there's so much value. I think that anybody that just took what you just said, that's a trainer, would be successful in the next 6 months, just applying that and
Yeah.
be
Well, and
happy.
also living by that, you're able to fully relate to your client. So
Yeah.
then they look at you as someone that they can respect because you've been there, as opposed to someone who's always been fit, never had a problem with an eating disorder, and is trying to tell you, you need to just stop being anorexic. It's as simple as that. They don't know. They've never
Yeah.
struggled with it, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that that's where a lot of us have this big misconception as far as our past. A lot of people are embarrassed to say, for example, they've had a drinking problem, or
Yeah.
that they've had an eating disorder. I don't think you should be embarrassed. I think it's embarrassing to not have a shady past, because that
Yeah.
means that you didn't experience much. You didn't
Yeah.
learn very many lessons, right?
So true. So
Yeah, I
true.
like colorful pasts.
Well, yeah, not only like it, but you sharing and being transparent is what people resonate with. People buy into people and stories. They
Yeah,
want to be able to resonate with you because, like, someone looks at you, you're beautiful, you're healthy, you're financially successful, you have a wonderful relationship. You know what I mean? Like, people look at that. How does someone resonate that's a beginner, struggling with health and fitness or weight, no confidence? How do they resonate with you until you tell your story and tell
right.
that you had problems?
Exactly.
So I always tell people that I'm helping to resonate with people, tell your story and be transparent about it, even if it's something you're embarrassed about, because you won't believe how powerful it is for someone that's following you to say, oh shit, like, yeah, they're there, but maybe I can get there too, because their story is just like mine.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
let's
I'm
talk
sorry, what
about
was the other
branding.
question you asked? Oh, branding.
No,
That's right.
oh yeah, just like yeah, just going into branding, because this is where other people, we've identified an ideal customer now, and I think that's the most important part, is to go from this to this and go. Don't water yourself down. Become an expert and love what you do, and put so much attention and so much detail in the message to help that ideal customer. And think in a small scope of how can I make that person's experience and the service so fucking good that they have no choice but to tell someone else. And I think when you do that, you just explode. But now you got to brand that, right? So you've kind of talked about just put your posts like you're talking and answering questions to yourself. But it's also important to brand yourself. And this comes with colors and fonts and the message. But I think where people get lost is they're all, you look at some people's pages and you can tell this person's good. They're going to be good, but they're like looking at 10 different people and they're just like, they're all over the place. Where if I go to your page, the message is consistent. There's a little bit of lifestyle, the nutritional information is the same. I can go to your page and scroll down the next like a couple months and know exactly what it is that you're selling and who it is.
Mm.
And you can see that in your brand. And a lot of people struggle with that. And so let's talk a little bit about branding and marketing. So where is it that you market to? Like, how do you achieve new clients? I know testimonials are really powerful for you. Um, but are you, most of the people you're getting, is this through social media?
100% of my clients come from referral in some capacity. So
Yeah.
they're either being referred by a current or former client, or they know me personally, or they know Jake personally. Um, I I don't do paid ads. I don't think I've ever done a paid ad. And like you said, testimonials are really, really important. And that's why
Yeah.
I post so many of the testimonials that I receive, so many of the conversations that I have with my clients, because that is the most honest way to market yourself, I believe. You know,
Yeah.
I'll be completely transparent. I am not very good at marketing or branding.
Yeah.
I know that my page could look cleaner, you know, but I've tried that. I've tried to do that, and it's not received well. You know,
Yeah.
I've done the things that other people in my position do, where they will structure their posts as kind of like a tutorial, right? They post their entire workout for that day and they say, uh, Romanian deadlift, here's how you do it, this and this and this. That's not received well from me. I'm
Yeah.
not I'm not really a teacher. I'm a coach, you know, and I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
another thing is figuring out not only who your ideal client is and what you specialize in, but what approach you're best at taking, right? Are you a coach or are you a teacher? And I think that there's
Okay.
a big difference that a lot of people don't realize, because it's such a gray area when you're a personal trainer, for example. You know, you're teaching people how to do things, right? But my personal training sessions ended up being so much more than that. I had people that would come in, and in the middle of the training session, they would start crying because they were telling me about something that they were struggling with. You know, this
Yeah.
happened a lot.
Yeah.
And that's why I
Yeah.
was like, I need to take this online because I can help people so much better this way.
Of course, because you can connect with so much more. So you don't offer like everything's one-on-one. You don't have like a buy a program, like here's a preset digital asset of a breakdown.
I've,
It's one-on-one only. And have
yeah,
you experimented with trying that before?
I have
Yeah.
tried. I have tried
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's not received well, and I can't stand behind it. That I
Yeah.
think that's why it's not received well, is because
Yeah.
I think when you're a teacher, you can tell someone very matter of factly, this is how you do this. Here's the steps, do it. But when you're a coach, you need that feedback, right?
Of course.
So
Yeah.
I'll have a conversation with a client where I'm teaching them to reverse diet, or I'm teaching them how to track their macros, but they're struggling with it. So I have to hear where the struggle is coming from. What is the actual challenge here? Is it mental? Or is it just a matter of you figuring out your schedule, right? A
Yeah.
lot of times it's mental, especially with reverse dieting. And you can't get that from a book, right? And that's why I can't do the cookie cutter courses, because you don't get that feedback to really determine what the challenge is and therefore figure out the solution. You're just telling them, do this and you'll get to from A to B, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't work for a lot of people. You know, I've
Yeah.
bought courses and it didn't work for me. I need that
Yeah.
human interaction.
Yeah, especially if it's something. Well, we live in the information age, and I said this just the other day in a meeting with a friend of mine that we live in the information age. and you can get all the answers. Everything you teach is out there. Everything that I could possibly teach you. Like I have people come to me to help me with business plans. Like I was able to raise millions of dollars from investors to invest in athletic culture and continue to raise money in a pandemic. So people come to me and they want to know about pitch decks. They want to know about how to find an investor. They want to know about building business plans, about branding and different designing. All that information is out there, but some people need to connect with a personality and connect with that coach as well, right? To help them be able to bounce ideas off of and get feedback. And that's such a great thing. What you just said is, are you a teacher or are you a coach? And I would assume in health and fitness, everybody, listen, you can figure out how to flexibly diet. You can figure out how to do keto. If you want to do vegan, how to exercise, there's so much free information. But people, especially with health and fitness, are really struggling with an inner demon. It's usually not the ability of lack of information and technical skills. It's usually something much deeper than that. And they're looking for someone to help them identify that and be able to bounce ideas. And people want someone to be proud of them. They
Right.
really want someone to be in their corner, cheering for them, loving them, and also helping them celebrate their milestones and
Right.
doing it with somebody, right? Doing it together. And I think that's what really great coaches do.
Yeah.
They help people find something in themselves that was there. They just didn't know it was there. And it's not usually just having all the answers. In some cases, especially with hormones or finding, like they have, they're allergic to a certain food. But most of the time, I think it's about experimenting and finding out who it is inside and what that problem really lies with, of why they don't
Right.
believe they can lose the weight. Why do they keep sabotaging? Why do they do good all week and then sabotage on the weekend? There's usually that's the lying factor with, with
Right.
weight loss, right? So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of good stuff in that too. So I know that you, from speaking to you, that you've kind of built some systems. Now I know now that you don't offer programs, that you're just kind of one-on-one. But to scale to where you're at, there must be some stuff you've implemented, systems to simplify um, your process, whether that's
Mhm.
scheduling, questionnaires, having admin that answers some stuff or organizes stuff for you. Because a lot of people, that's why they're not able to scale, right? First of
Right.
all, they don't charge enough for their product, so they try to take on 100 clients and they're just running all over the place and nobody's getting good service. But let's talk about some systems that an online coach could implement that would make the experience for you and for the customer a lot better.
Well, the biggest game changer for me was hiring an assistant even before most people would think that they needed an assistant. So I
Okay.
hired my assistant when I had 15 one-on-one clients, but at
Yeah.
the time that felt like a lot. I spent more time on those 15 one-on-one clients than I do now on more than 60. And it was
Okay.
because I didn't have processes, I didn't have any streamlining, and I didn't have help. But once I hired help, it was a very small investment to get me seriously to the next level and beyond.
Yeah.
So, what my assistant does, and really, I shouldn't even call him an assistant, he's more of a business manager. He is very, very seasoned in this industry of helping people like me, fitness professionals, coaches, and people that are just in this range. But he, we kind of work together, right? He helped me put together some systems, and I have a schedule. So I have a Google Sheet schedule, and on Mondays is when I do my client check-ins. And if it's late, then you don't get your check-in that week. So
Yeah.
we have, these protocols put into place where I have to be very firm with the boundaries as well. And
Yeah.
then Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I do phone calls. And also on Thursdays is when I do any other updates to my client program. So Mondays, we focus on nutrition. Thursdays is when I adjust any workouts that need to be adjusted. And that
Okay.
way I get Friday all day to film content if I need to, or if there's other phone calls that just come up, like super important last minute phone call, I have the capacity and the bandwidth to do that.
Very
And
cool.
of course, answering emails. So I answer emails around the clock, but I also do have business hours. So I don't answer emails on Sundays, and I don't answer emails past 6 to 7 p.m. during the week. And that's been a really important lesson for me too, because that is what leads to burnout, is being
Yeah.
fully available. And it also doesn't serve your client if you're fully available. There's been times where I will sit in front of my computer and I will watch frantic messages come in from the same client. And by the seventh message, before I even respond, they figured it out.
Yeah.
And that's a good coach too, is not holding their hand the whole way. At
Yeah.
some point you have to let go, otherwise they're going to need you. They no longer want the coaching, they need the coaching, and that doesn't help anybody, right?
It's almost like raising a kid, right?
It
it's
is. It
it's tough
exactly
love.
is.
Yeah.
And I,
Yeah.
I learned that the hard way. Everything that I have in place now, I learned the hard way. I have
Yeah.
experienced burnout a number of times because I was too available. I didn't have any systems in place. So going back to the systems that I have, my assistant will basically do anything that doesn't require actual coaching the client. So he sets up my invoicing. He sets up the standard. I have all of my nutrition on a Google sheet. So he will set up the standard template. I will fill it in with everything that's applicable to that individual client, for example.
Okay.
He sends out my weekly MailChimp letters, but I draft the captions. And
Yeah.
most recently, I've hired an assistant coach who I'm actually kind of mentoring her as well. So now she'll write little articles for my MailChimp. So she's kind of getting her feet wet while I'm kind of showing her the way. So eventually she can help me with some things too. But the most important thing to me is that I don't want to scale to the point where I'm not the one actually coaching my clients. There shouldn't be anyone else communicating with my client but me, you know, and that can be a
Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Of course
then
it
it
is.
gets to the point where you determine what's more important, scaling or serving your client.
Yeah, you got to decide which one you're going to go for, right? Because I mean, like I know a lot of really high end athletes that buy programs all the time, but they're already so educated in a certain topic. Like they're trying to learn how to move the bar pattern a little bit better, how to tuck their hips and pull the bar faster. So they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to go someone that's Olympic athlete that has more information, and there's value in them buying that program because they're already squatting at 90%. They're just trying to tweak a couple things, and they're looking for hand positioning. They're looking for different patterns or little things they can implement in their warm up to make their squat better or to make whatever it is, right? So, but for somebody that's doing what you're doing, you need to take those people by the hand and be there, right? So you can't really be in the position to have someone else answer those messages because you're never going to have the quality. You're better off to increase your amount of money that you're charging, knowing that you're giving that person, like if somebody worked with you for 3 to 6 months, it's going to change their life forever
Mm-hmm.
no matter what you're charging. Like that's the most important investment, whether that was $3,000, $5,000, or $10,000 to work for you for 6 months. That is probably the best investment as long as they commit that they'll ever fucking make in their life because now they got confidence, they feel sexy, they're healthy, they're going to live longer, they have more energy, they're going to interact better with their husband, their wife, their kids at work. Like I think when you get that foundation of health and confidence, it just seeps into everything else you do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're listening to that, you need a coach. If if you're not educated, you should really consider doing it, and it's nice to have someone long term, but I think it's exactly right what you're saying. And I spoke to a young trainer the other day who asked me some advice, and he told me a little bit about what he was offering. And I was like, he was charging like $100 a month for nutrition and training, and he's pretty good. He's got a good physique. He's a good kid. And I was telling him, there's no way you need to charge a lot more for your service, and it'll be perceived differently. People will value it more, and you'll have to have less clients, and you'll be able to go a lot deeper with them. And he said, yeah, but I see this other guy that has a huge following, and he's only charging 60. I said, he's not even doing the programs. Like
Right.
he's giving that to someone else. Someone in India is writing that program or answering the messages, and he's just a marketing genius that's driving traffic in and pretending they're getting a one-on-one program, but it's not even possible, right? So
Right.
like what you said is perfect for coaching. I think that's the most important thing that you could do. And I also want to ask you about something that's probably going to be the most important thing for females listening to this, which I would assume will be the biggest listeners on this, is some advice for women that are trying to lose weight and get healthy. I think you do this better than anybody I follow. I've seen the transformations are insane. The message is consistent that you're putting out. It's about loving yourself. It's about finding something that's sustainable. Yes, eating healthy, but also enjoying life and enjoying the foods that you eat. It's clear in your message and in your branding. I think you're a lot better at branding than you give yourself credit for. Because I think branding isn't, a lot of people think of branding in a lot different way than I do. Branding is everything you say, everything you do, everything you wear. when people read your posts, your captions that you write, like, I think I've even seen you post, like, you put a lot of work into your captions.
Yeah, I do.
That's branding. I could read
Yeah.
your caption. Anybody could read your caption and just look at the size of it and automatically know you care and that you're
Yeah.
invested. And that's part of your brand. So I think you should give yourself a lot more credit on your branding side. I think you don't realize how good it is. So a woman that's trying to get healthy, trying to lose weight, let's give them some advice from eating, supplementation, exercise, because this is shit you got to do for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. This isn't 6
Right.
months. It's a lifestyle. So let's give them some advice.
The number one thing is eat more, because every woman that comes to me, like damn near every single woman that comes to me, is eating 12 to 1500 calories. And most recently, I've had some women that they're averaging 500 calories a day, and they're
Wow.
wondering why they're not losing weight. Well,
Yeah.
look at how that small of a calorie range is impacting you in your lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
So you are lacking energy. So you drink a lot of coffee because you're not feeding your body the fuel that it needs to create energy. You end up drinking a ton of coffee and you're shooting your adrenals, right? So
Yeah.
then your body is reliant on this coffee. And because you're drinking so much coffee, you can't get a good night's sleep because you're all wound up by the time you go to bed. So your body can't recover by the next morning. You have a hard time getting out of bed, and it's just this never ending cycle. And as a byproduct of that, you have reduced sex drive. Your hair starts falling out, your hormones are all fucked up, and you're probably really moody. So
Yeah.
it's not helping you at all, and you're not losing weight. So what the fuck is the benefit? You
Yeah.
know,
Why bother? Yeah.
you're making yourself
Yeah.
feel like shit, and it's not getting you anywhere, but yet you
Yeah.
keep doing it. And why?
Yeah.
It's because all these apps that calculate your macros tell you if you want to lose weight, you have to eat 1,200 calories a day. And I've
Yeah.
seen this with so many women. It doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, how much you weigh, how tall you are. These apps are telling you if you want to lose 2 pounds a week, you have to eat 1,200 calories a day. But that's
Yeah.
not how this shit works. What I find is I have my clients do a 3-day food diary before we get started, and I will see what their average caloric intake is, right? So that's your starting point. It's not what's your height, weight, age, and you want to lose 2 pounds a week, here's your calories. It's really determining what is your body already used to. So, for example, when I get a woman that's averaging 3,000 calories, first of all, I'm like, fuck yeah, finally a woman that's eating, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I take that as our starting point, and I will take them into a deficit based upon that. So that way we just go down to 2,500 calories a day, and magically they're losing weight, because that is a 500 calorie a day deficit times
Yeah.
3,500 calories a week, which is 1 pound a week. And that is a consistent, sustainable way to actually lose weight. 1 pound a week should be the goal, not 2 pounds or more, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
anything more than 2 pounds, you're probably losing water initially, right? So it
Yeah.
gets you all excited. And then
Yeah.
after that, you're probably losing muscle mass, you know?
Yeah.
So, and it's not consistent, right? You'll get to a point where instead of 5 pounds a week, you're only losing maybe half a pound a week. And then you think, it's not working, so I need to find something else. No, it's still working, because slow progress is progress. I think we get addicted to this like immediate, like I could DoorDash some food to my house right now. We're
Yeah.
addicted
Yeah.
to everything being so quick, but that's not how your body works if you want to keep it healthy.
No, it's definitely in the consistency is the number one thing. People take 10, 15, 20 years to get to a position, and they think they're going to get like to where they want to be in months, and it just doesn't work that way. So just like you need to be consistent. You said it right. I mean, unless you're like I had a client that I still talk about all the time. He was 600 pounds and I took him to 180 pounds. And we did that over a year and a half. And he had
Wow.
skin that hung past his knees. He had to there was a time there was check-ins. We were losing 20 pounds a week. And he
Wow.
wasn't in an extreme caloric deficit. He just went from drinking pop every day and eating junk to starting to eat healthier to
Yeah.
exercising. And his body was just, I mean, his insulin sensitivity was going up and he was dropping weight like crazy. Somebody that needs to lose 20 or 30 pounds, it's a different story. It's all about slow incremental movements, right, in the right direction.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
said it right. And I think the other thing that women that I would like to add to that is too much. They're just so much cardio, hours of cardio, restricted calories, not getting enough sleep, And then they just keep applying more pressure to something that doesn't work. You know what I mean? Well, I'll do more cardio, I'll do it faster, I'll get my heart rate higher, I'll eat less calories, and it just doesn't work. You kind of need to take a step back, like you said, and then recalibrate, get the calories in the right spot, add in weightlifting, and then incrementally in a caloric deficit, head in the right direction.
Yeah, I only add cardio when and if we absolutely need to. So,
Yeah.
for example, I have one of my clients, she's in a cutting phase right now. She's eating 1,600 calories a day, and her step goal is only 4,000 steps a day. And
Okay.
that's pretty low. She works a sedentary job, but I like to keep her there because she's making progress. And that
Yeah.
gives us room to where when she stops making progress, we can increase her step goal to just maybe 5 to 6,000 steps a day and keep her in the 1,600 calorie range. So cardio is a tool to only be added when and if you actually need it. You don't
Yeah.
want to start a training program and go balls to the wall from the beginning, significantly drop your calories, add an hour of cardio a day plus an hour of training a day. You're going to burn out by day 4,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you get it that far, right?
Yeah.
But if you do it incrementally and only when and if you need to, then it's far more sustainable and you don't reach that burnout. Because a lot of people, I think they confuse a plateau and burnout. They think that they're plateaued. First of all, no. If nothing has changed in 2 weeks, then maybe you can call that a plateau and make an adjustment. But you haven't plateaued if 1 week nothing has changed. And also, are you actually doing everything? And if not, why? Probably because it's unsustainable for you. And instead of plateauing, you've actually reached a form of burnout, right?
Okay.
Because you went too fast too soon.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of cardio, but I just do it because I absolutely love it. Right. So I actually do little bits of hit cardio because I'm changing my training now. So I love to get my heart rate up to like 160, 170, which is also good for my heart. And then on Saturdays, I do my long distance where I cycle for about an hour and a half and I run for like an hour. And I'm only doing that because I said to Nat, if somebody says, Ryan, let's go hiking or let's go paddle boarding or let's go play a sport, I know that motherfucker, I can go all day long on Saturday. And usually Saturday would be the day you do something extracurricular. I know that if I need to go hiking for hours, it's not an issue. If you want to take me and play a sport, I'm good to go for 2 to 3 hours and my cardio's there, right? So I'm just training for life on that Saturday, like in case somebody ever invites me to do something
Well,
fun again.
yeah. And that's a different story because number
Yeah,
one, you said you do
yeah,
it because you enjoy it. And number two,
exactly,
you're training for lifestyle and that's a part of your lifestyle. So I
exactly.
have had clients like that too, where they will come to me and they say, but I really enjoy running a couple miles a week. Then
Yeah,
fucking do it.
yeah,
I will adjust your nutrition accordingly because you're doing that for your mental health, right? And you actually enjoy it. But what I find with a lot of women that are coming to me, they say they like cardio and it's really just because they're afraid of weights. Or
okay,
they say they
yeah,
like cardio because they think that that's what's going to get them to their goal, right?
yeah,
So you have to really kind of determine what um, the real idea behind it is. Do you
yeah,
actually enjoy it, or do you think you're supposed to enjoy it? And if you actually
yeah,
enjoy
yeah,
it,
yeah.
then by all means, fucking do it because, like I said, it's good for your mental state. You
Of
know,
course, yeah,
and
yeah,
and I've had people that they come to me and yes, they want to lose weight, but they also want to get better at softball. I had a college softball athlete, right? So if she was a normal client that, or not normal, but a different kind of client that
yeah.
wasn't an athlete, I would have coached her much differently. But since she was using this not only as a tool to help her lose weight, but also to get better at softball, we did incorporate some very specific kind of cardio training because it was applicable to her.
Applicable to her, right? Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people go wrong is just comparing themselves to everybody else. You need to make sure that what is the goal, where are you at now, and then you can determine how you're going to get there.
Right.
Those are the
And
big
what are
things.
you going to do realistically? You know,
Yeah,
if I
yeah,
assign you to run a mile a day, are you actually going to do that? And if not, then why are we setting the bar up here? You know?
yeah, yeah. Because that's just a downward spiral, and it just causes bad behavior, and you feel terrible about yourself, and you break down confidence, and that's not good either. So, what
Right.
I'm most excited about is let's talk about the supplement company.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about your supplement company. Let's talk about the actual supplements and the line that you have, the products you have. And let's talk about the process of getting it built and getting it to where it's at now. Because a lot of people are aspiring to do something similar to that. So let's talk, tell us a little bit about the line and the products that you have.
So my goal with this supplement company was obviously within the name to keep it as pure as possible.
Yeah.
So I also wanted it to be a supplement line that was built for the consumer. And
Yeah.
by that, I mean, we have hybrid products, which is actually stretching your dollar further. So the first product that I rolled out was Stacked. That's my pre workout. And it also has 6 grams of BCAAs in it. And
Yeah.
this is because I don't like having to invest in a lot of different supplements. I just want a couple that are really fucking good at what they do, you know?
Yeah.
So I noticed that a lot of people really like to take BCAAs and a lot of people really like to take pre-workout. So why not put them together? It was easy enough, you
Yeah.
know? Another thing is that we wanted to keep it all natural. So the first rollout of Stacked was all natural with the exception of the fact that we sweetened it with Splenda. But this time around, it's sweetened with stevia because that was my way to further improve it. The only reason that we rolled it out with Splenda in the beginning is because it tasted really good. And so
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
took
Yeah.
a lot of trial and error to get it to taste just as good with stevia. So we needed that longer time frame. What a lot of people do is they'll wait until it's perfect and then they'll roll it out. I like to do things when they're ready, you know, and that way you get the feedback so you can further perfect it. So if I had gotten any additional feedback during this year that we were testing the new formula, I would have been able to implement that as well, right?
Yeah.
So that was the first supplement that we rolled out, and that has 350 milligrams of caffeine, which is a lot. That's as much as a can of Bang, right? Which
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
lot. But
Yeah.
it's a powder form pre-workout. So I only take like a quarter to a half a scoop every day. So that also helps you use your product longer. So even though you might go online and see, oh, this pre-workout's like $40, you're actually getting two products in one. And that product is probably going to last you a lot longer than the one that you see at Walmart for $20, you know?
Yeah. Of course. Of course.
So the second product that I rolled out was the protein. So this also has glutamine in it. And the importance of that really lies in how your body is going to digest it. So a lot of people who use whey protein, either they get protein farts or it just doesn't work well with their digestive tract because maybe they're dairy intolerant, or Jake, my husband, he has ulcerative colitis. So he
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to have a regular whey protein powder. It wouldn't go well with him. So I added just a little bit of glutamine and it really, really helps with that. Jake can have it. He was my guinea pig for this because if he can have it, anybody can have it. And I've
Yeah.
noticed that a lot of my clients who come to me and they have IBS or, you know, similar conditions, this protein powder works well with them because of how we've developed the formula. And
Yeah.
another big thing about the protein powder is that you can bake with it. That was my main
Okay.
concern is I wanted to be able to bake with it because I don't like protein shakes. I like to have protein cookies, protein cakes, protein muffins. So we have like a whole library of recipes that are easy to make and that you can basically substitute the flour and a lot of the sugar in the recipe for protein. So you don't
Okay.
have to use one of our specific recipes. You can pull up any recipe for like chocolate chip cookies and reduce the amount of flour and the amount of sugar and replace it with protein, and it'll turn out really nice.
Wow.
So
That's
that's
interesting
my
with the
favorite.
glutamine. I know multiple people that has healed, not healed, but improved their digestion tract with glutamine, using glutamine, because it people with ulcers, people with tears, people with strain that don't their bowels don't work properly, using a little bit of glutamine in the morning fasted, within a couple weeks, they usually notice a huge difference.
It's huge. It's
Yeah.
huge and it's instrumental. I have every single one of my clients is assigned glutamine, whether they have a condition or not.
Yeah.
And that was why that was the next supplement that we rolled out. It's such a basic supplement. But what I see on the market a lot of times is glutamine is very, it's full of fillers, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they keep it cheap that way. Glutamine is a very cheap supplement, but that's because it's full of fillers. So
Yeah.
my glutamine, if you look at the ingredients, it's just glutamine. That was super important to me. I didn't want any fillers. I didn't want any flavors. I didn't want any bullshit. I want you to actually get the product that you're paying for. So
100%.
the cleanse is the last supplement that we rolled out. And this is kind of like a detox pill that you take on a case by case basis. So it's geared towards women, of course. If you are PMSing and you experience a lot of bloat, you take a couple of cleanse pills for the next few days. I am religious about this. 3 days leading up to my period, I'll take a cleanse pill every day. And that has helped eliminate my bloat. I don't even bloat around my period anymore. It's just eliminated it.
Wow.
But it's not like you're taking a laxative. Like you don't have the cramping that you do if you take like X-Lax, for example, right? And it's not a detox where you're not eating. It's just a capsule that is full of all natural ingredients that's helping get your digestion going again. So
Okay.
this, like I said, you take it on a case by case basis because when we travel, you experience bloat because of the elevation.
Yeah.
So when you are traveling, I like to take one the morning of my flight and then I'll take one when I touch down. And that way I don't feel all bloated and gross when I'm trying to have a vacation, you know? So this supplement has been really awesome. And like I said, you take it on a case by case basis. So you get to stretch your dollar even further because it's not something that you're taking every single day. You can make a bottle of cleanse last a year if you want to.
Oh, wow. So you're just taking it whenever you need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if someone is thinking, man, I want to get into the supplement industry, this is not an easy thing to do. You can be an expert with, be a dietitian, you could be a nutritionist, you could be have a science background of some sort, but the process of finding a manufacturer, creating the product, testing it, tasting it, labeling it, packaging it, creating a company and a spot to market it to, and then a place to convert it. You started with one product. I recommend this to people with clothing. I recommend this to people with multiple different things. If you can start small and do one thing really well that you love and you're proud of, and that's kind of what you did. You started with your pre-workout. You did it really well. You adjusted it immediately from Splenda into Stevia, got it to where it's at. I assume now you don't have to improve it a lot more. Maybe you're adding flavors to the line or something like that, but you're able
Yeah.
to just scale that product up now. And you've gone, how many years now? Is it 1 year or 2 years you've had the
We
company?
we just hit the 1 year anniversary last week.
Okay, so you started with one, and within the 1 year, you've already added your third line.
Yeah, so within, let's see, I rolled out Stacked in February. And then I think a month or two later, I rolled out the protein. And it was
Yeah,
almost like every month I was introducing a new product until now. We only have a line of four.
four.
And
Okay, you're at four now.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's because what we were talking about before, if you offer minimal products, you can specialize in all of them, right? It's just like when you go to Monkey Pod, right? I know you guys go to
yeah,
Monkey Pod on Maui.
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
they don't have a crazy extensive menu. They
No,
have a very short and sweet menu with rotating specials that are seasonal, and that's because they specialize in everything. It's so easy to work there because you don't have to kind of guide people towards a specific thing on the menu to make sure they have a good experience. You can order anything, cheapest thing on the menu. It's going to be fantastic, right?
yeah,
But if you
yeah,
go somewhere like Cheesecake Factory, where Cheesecake Factory
yeah,
has a book for their menu, they don't
yeah,
specialize in jack shit. They have everything
yeah,
from spaghetti to Asian food, you know?
yeah,
So
yeah,
that was my main purpose was, everyone's asking me, are you going to come out with a chocolate flavor protein? Are you going to come out with vegan? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? I need to keep my line minimal. Number one, it's funded by my savings account.
yeah, yeah,
and and number two, I want to make sure that every single thing that I roll out is going to be perfect and is going to be received well. There's not a lot of market within my audience for a vegan protein powder. So it's really not on the forecast anytime soon.
Of course. Yeah, that makes sense. And by the way, if you do go to the Monkey Pod, get the Mai Tai. It's probably the best Mai Tai that you'll ever have. Insider secrets, right?
Yeah, we
So, do
miss
you
that
ship to
place.
Canada? Do your products ship to Canada, or are you just
We're
the United States only?
Yeah, we're only US right now. I
Yeah,
I really wanted to become international, but the shipping cost is just crazy for such a small business,
of
you know?
course. And
Yeah.
you guys are lucky where you're at. Your population's so huge in the States, so like you don't really need to expand outside of America
Yeah.
as a young company. You're just not. You're doing it at the incremental basis. You don't need to explode. And
Right.
I think you're probably doing that the right way. Are you taking on new clients? Any girls that are interested, are you taking on new clients?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
So
I
any
don't
Canadian
do
girls?
I don't do cohorts. So
Yeah.
a lot of coaches, they'll do like a 12-week program and I'm taking on clients February 1st. I have a revolving door because
Okay.
every single person that I take on will need a different amount of time with our coaching process.
Yeah.
So there's always clients coming in, always clients going out. So right now I'm down to one opening for February, but then in March I have several more openings coming
Several
available.
more. So where can people find you? We're going to get ready to wrap up. So where can people find you if they're interested?
Instagram is the best spot. I'm on
Okay.
there most often. So at Savtastic, SAV_tastic.
Perfect.
And yeah, I do have a website, but I mean, nobody really goes to people's websites anymore. It's all
No.
Instagram
Straight to consultations
TikTok.
now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's about it. That's the quickest and easiest way to reach me.
Perfect. So I've been playing this little game where I have 3 words at the end of my podcast. I'm going to say them one at a time, and you just say the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Okay. It's fun.
I'm
Money.
nervous. Freedom.
I love it. Health.
I wanted to say wealth, but I think that's just because it rhymes.
Yeah.
Grateful.
Grateful. Dreams.
Inspiration.
Love it. Love it. And I love it because everybody gives me a different answer, but the most consistent one is freedom with money. And I hope I'm very money driven. I'm very health driven, but I always try to convince people that that's what you should think of money as, is freedom to invest in what you want, to help who you want, and to go wherever you want, and to say fuck you to people if you need to, so that you can be free to do what you want whenever you want. Right.
Yeah, it is very
Yeah.
freeing to have freedom
Yeah.
of time, basically. That's what I find is
100%.
with financial success.
Exactly. And be able to calm down and be creative and be yourself and help other people because you're not worrying about your rent being 1,000 and you only have a 900 in the bank. Right.
Right.
Yeah. That's
That's
amazing.
true.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are going to get a lot of value. We talked about marketing. We talked about branding. We talked about getting into personal training, and any females I think are going to get a lot of value out of just following you. So I'm excited for this to roll out. And I want to thank you so much for coming on. And I'm really looking forward to you and Jake coming to Canada at some point. I know you guys have been to BC, I believe, but hopefully you guys come to Ontario sometime, and hopefully we get to come see you guys as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for thinking of me. I'm honored. So thank you. I
Good.
loved it.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And guys, you guys can check her out. Her coaching is great and her Instagram's inspirational. Give her a follow, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks, Savannah.
Thank you, Ryan.